Americans love stories about tough guys like Lefty or Sammy the Bull. But Great Britain has a cool tale too: infant schools, where little kids first learn their letters. These places were for kids age 4 to 7 or maybe 8, depending on who's counting. They don't get much buzz over here, but they're a big deal in UK history. Long ago, kids didn't have nice classrooms. They learned stuff like cooking or farming from their family, or they'd squeeze into one-room schools with older kids. Then the 1800 came fast and infant schools popped up everywhere. From mill towns to playgrounds with swings, this documentary's got the best bits. Hit that subscribe button, leave a comment about what history you want next, and let's jump into Britain's little kid story. Picture Britain before the 1800s. Think muddy villages, no factories, just families chilling. Kids under 8 didn't have school like we know it. They'd pick up stuff like cooking or farming from their folks super young. Some toddled off to village or grammar schools, one room, all ages mashed together, no special kid-friendly vibes. Most folks figured home was the best spot for little ones to start learning, especially since only a lucky few got any schooling. The idea of a place just for tiny tots? Totally new back then. Sure, a few spots in Europe toyed with it in the late 1700s, but Britain was late to the party. That is, until everything got shaken up big time. Here's where it gets wild. The agricultural and industrial revolutions crashed in like a double whammy. Farms got machines, people flocked to cities, and factories popped up everywhere. Kids' lives, total chaos. Before, they'd help out at home, maybe herd sheep under dad's eye. Now they're stuck in factories or, get this, climbing inside chimneys as climbing boys as young as 3. Factory workers were usually over 8, but younger kids got roped into home gigs or tough jobs. Moms were working too, so tons of little ones were left alone or watched by barely older siblings. Cheap dame schools stepped in. Basically babysitters with zero standards. Think dirty rooms, no learning, just a mess. People started noticing, and it wasn't pretty. Reformers were like, we got to save these kids. They wanted to keep them safe, teach them right from wrong, and maybe toss in some religion and manners. Groups like the British and Foreign School Society, 1808, and the National Society, 1811, set up voluntary schools for kids over 6 or 7, though some 4-year-olds sneaked in. A guy named Joseph Lancaster had a wild idea. Special initiatory schools for under 7s to shape their character and keep them out of trouble. Sounded cool, but those big societies didn't bite. No dice. Until the real action kicked off. The first infant school in Great Britain popped up in 1816, and it's a doozy. Robert Owen, a big shot mill boss in New Lanark, Scotland, said, enough's enough. He built a school for mill workers, kids ages 1 to 6. Yet 1-year-olds. Info's fuzzy, but it wasn't all desks and drills. Kids played a ton, singing, dancing, marching, no fancy toys, just good vibes. By 1819, the under 4s were spotting letters, while older ones read easy stuff. Owen was all about environment shapes you. He thought bad homes messed kids up, so his school was a shield. Oh, and he stopped kids under 10 from working in his factory. Pretty neat. Then in 1818, England got its turn. Henry Brougham and some rebel pals opened an infant school in London's Brewer's Green slums. Brougham wasn't as big on learning as Owen. He cared more about childcare and morals. He hired James Buchanan, a New Lanark vet, to run it with the same playful tricks. Locals weren't sold at first. Slum parents didn't trust it, but Brougham hustled. And soon kids poured in. 2 more London schools followed by 1824, and the London Infant School Society got busy spreading the word. They opened schools but flopped at training teachers. Meanwhile, factory owners jumped in, building schools to churn out obedient little workers. Crazy, right? Enter Samuel Wilderspin. He's the hype man for infant schools across England. He pushed harder on lessons than Owen, but kept it kid-friendly. Short bursts of reading or counting, not too heavy. Some say he got young kids, but didn't have a big master plan. Over in Glasgow, David Stowe stuck closer to Owen's playbook. Playtime with a sprinkle of class teaching. Both guys, plus others, wrote books and spread the word. A smart dude, David Turner, says Owen's ideas were the backbone, accepting super young kids learning through fun, quick lessons, playground romps, and kindness. By the 1800s, though, some schools turned into boot camps for manners and work prep. with religion creeping in big. Still, the vibe stuck thanks to pumped-up pioneers and rich folks tossing cash. The goal? Triggy mix order, plus freedom. Kids were seen as good eggs that behave if you treated them right. Teachers were supposed to be pals, sparking a love for learning. No deep kid brain theories here, just practical fixes for teaching tons of little ones on the cheap. Some tied it to wacky stuff like phrenology, head-shaped science, anyone. But really, it was about stopping petty trouble and keeping stuff safe. After 1811, more babies meant more chaos. Parents worked, kids roamed, folks feared big fights like in France, so infant schools were a chill pill. Support dipped when those worries faded, but motivations, all over. Welfare, morals, skills, you name it. Infant schools blew up in London and Glasgow, but not everyone was a fan. Historian W.B. Steffen says they lost their sparkle fast. Parents didn't pick them over dame schools. Teachers, mostly untrained, drilled rules over play since kids didn't stick around long. Schools morphed into prep for bigger ones, dropping the fun stuff. Nanette Whitbread argues parents liked the happy angle better than dame flops, but Alistair Roberts says working folks didn't get play-based schools. Felt like rich meddling. Some shut down by the 1836. Still, Whitbread calls them a safe spot with Hartford kids in a rough world. By 1836, England had 3,000 infant schools with 900 kids, boys and girls, even teaching English to Welsh and Gaelic speakers. By the 1840s, things leveled up. Johann Pestalozzi's ideas hit Britain post-Napoleon. Let kids explore before you explain, like handing them a rock to poke at. He didn't focus on tots, but infant schools ate it up. The Home and Colonial Infant Schools Society, 1836, trained teachers in his style, high standards, church-based but chill with others. They shipped out gear and pushed religion as the top dog. School checkers in 1840 had lists. Got playground fun, kids smart, answers real or robot. They wanted heart, and I just repeat, hear me. HMI Fletcher in 1845 raved about infant schools growing smarter, not pushy body, brain, and good stuff lessons all in one. Most checkers cheered, though some grumps wanted hardcore book smarts early. Teaching was a mixed bag. Checkers said even just happy, healthy kids was a win, but also wanted basics, reading, easy tales, numbers, slate scribbles. A Glasgow paper in 1835 gushed 15-minute sits, then play, pictures, objects, a third of the day outside. A 1861 study showed infant school grads outshined others later. Rooms got big with galleries, tiered seats to watch the teacher, and blackboards for doodles. Playgrounds had swings and seesaws, a must for new schools. Lessons, drawing, music, sewing, gardening, Pestalozzi's object shots about rocks or spoons. Wilderspin even wrote swing safety tips. Serious business? Mid-century infant schools exploded. Steam power and Irish folks moving in jacked up kid numbers. By 1851, a quarter of Brits were under 10. Slums got rough, and dame schools choked. Infant schools got hot. Cheap fees worked as wages crept up post-1842. Kids under 7 flooded older schools too. Work rules and tech cut factory gigs, so 3 to 6-year-olds tagged along with big sibs. Checkers griped at messed up teaching but didn't ban them, kept siblings free, and 1,838 groups said, start at 3. By 1840, plans mashed infant and older schools together. The 1870 Education Act set 5 as the make 'em go age, wild for the West. By 1880, it was law. Tons of 2 to 5-year-olds joined, joint hitting 43% by 1900. Fees dropped in 1891, ending dame schools for good. Scotland, way less hyped, kindness faded. Fewer under 5s went. The 1872 Act said 5 too, but folks didn't push it. Teachers and parents shrugged at baby lessons. England's infant game was stronger. In 1862, payment by results hit. Cash tied to test scores, under 6s, later 7s, skipped tests, so some teachers ignored them. Focus shifted to the 3 R's: reading, writing, arithmetic. Prepping for later, babies class under 5 got ABCs and marching. 5 to 7s hit the R's and sewing. Babies' rooms, packed, pinned in, run by teens. Playgrounds became law in 1871. Infants split from big kids. Bradford pushed singing and drills. Some kept the old fun alive. Checkers loved it, but rote was king. Frobel's play-to-learn tricks got a nod, but big classes and rush goals squashed them. Leaders wanted workers, not thinkers. The Boer War showed tons of recruits were weak. Health stunk, and schools got blamed. A 1904 report said early school herd tots too stiff too soon. A 1905 follow-up trashed under 5 lessons. No brain boost, just daycare. Nurseries were the dream, but cash said no. By 1904, under 3s were out. 3 to 4s dropped to 22.7% by 1910. The 1905 code flipped infant goals. Less hours, more growing in habits. Listen shrank to 15 minutes. Listen, talk, draw, play. John Dewey's use what kids like vibe hit in 1906. Schools got freer, happier. Edmund Holmes in 1911 called him the best vibe around. Post-World War I, change fever hit schools, felt old school tough. Susan Isaacs and Global Ideas birthed kid-centered magic. Kids picked stuff, writing on walls sparked reading, nature and crafts mimicked old-time play. Drama, music, projects, even class pets. Not perfect, poor kids missed reading. If home was rough, old schools creaked. Haddo reports, 1,131, 1,133. Cheered it. Some R's for 7s play for rest. Nurseries grew in the 1930s. WFRI bumped them more. Play, games, naps. Middle-class moms joined the infant train. War made it cool. The 1944 Education Act parked infants in primary land. New estates got all-in-one schools. Separate infants dropped from 70% to 56% by 1965. More R's crept in. Studies said late reading hurt. Reception classes mimicked nurseries but taught basics, drawing, music, dance. New schools got cozy, kid-sized chairs, nature views, simple playgrounds. Plowden 1967 gave teachers wings. Mixed ages, free zones, same teacher all years. Scotland's infant rooms, bright but stricter. Reading by year 1. The 1970s griped. New ways got soft. The 1988 Act locked in a big curriculum, math, English, science, the works. Infant teachers bent it, kept it kid-friendly. Personal tasks, soft feedback. Check this. Phonics hit hard in 2006. Sound it out, baby. Reception classes boomed in the 90s. Play with a prep twist. Well split off in 99. Foundation phase, 2008. Went big on play. 2022, new vibe. Gave teachers room. But a 2024 report says Welsh kids lag in reading. Too much guessing. Today, 10% of English kids hit separate infant schools. 1,700 left. Wales has 28. Scotland's last one shut in 2024. Man, Britain's infant schools went from mill experiments to playground paradises. From Owen's dance parties to phonics drills. It's a wild ride. Which bit blew your mind? Hit the comments and peek at our other videos. History is calling.